Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B-Man, and I am live and on the move. Shout out to my brother Junior, The Truth. Coming to you with a quick live. Want to talk a little bit about the fight that's coming up on the undercard of Cruz versus Roach, coming up this weekend. Amazon Prime, PBC pay-per-view on Amazon Prime. Yeah, so that's a pretty nice card featuring a lot of the PBC fighters that we haven't seen in a minute. And one fight in particular I want to speak on is the fight on the undercard between Frank Martin and Francis Bartholomew. Listen, that's a pretty darn good fight there for both men. Even though Frank Martin has been out of the ring for a while, Frank has wanted to elevate his position in the sport, and he wanted to come back to being active. And this is a great start heading into 2026 because he's taking on a veteran in Bartholomew that is no cakewalk. This fight, Frank should be favored, but because of the inactivity and because Francis Bartholomew may come in thinking like, you know what, if I beat this kid, it puts my name right back in the loop of things as far as being a title contender. So here you have, some questions. Now Frank has like 19 fights under his belt. Bartholomew has over 30 plus fights, and the two could be looked at as going in opposite directions, or they could be at a crossroads right there, one looking to pass the other. Now, sometimes when you have fights like this, the intangibles factor more than anything because you just don't know where a guy is, excuse me, where a guy is mentally as he enters a situation. You don't know, maybe somebody is taking this because they needed a payday. They haven't fought in a while. Everyone knows that the PBC fighters have been on the shelf, man. They've been on the shelf for a while. And so seeing the names on this card, you got Shane Mosley Jr. taking on Jesus Ramos Jr. That's a good fight. Of course, you got Erislandy Lara taking on Janabek Alukaluni. If I'm saying his name wrong, forgive me. I'm not trying to murder his name on purpose. And of course, you got the main event in Cruz versus Roach. So what we're looking at is a nice card of fights with fighters who have a lot of questions to be answered. And sometimes those can be the best type of cards because I'm certain out of all of these matches, there should be one upset. Just one. Salute to my brother Stephen L. the Mac out there. Appreciate you, bro. You always show up, man. And I thank you for putting me up on some game, some happenings in the sport. You put it to me before it hit the airwaves yesterday, and I really appreciate that. What you do for us, man. I really do, Stephen L. So salute to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Say you're getting the kids together. Yeah, I hear you, man. I start my day pretty early too. Got a long commute. Yeah. So, but this Frank Martin, I really want to see Frank do well. And this has nothing, I'm not against Bartholomew. I like the sport of boxing. If Bartholomew is able to handle Frank in any kind of fashion where he prevails and comes out on top, it may just simply mean that Frank is not at a level of where people looked at his potential. But I'm not claiming or calling that. I'm just speaking emphatically on the fact that these are two men who have something to prove. And when you've got those kind of fights, hey man, you can be highly entertained, right? Salute to Del Rib out there. What's good? Good morning to you. Salute. Yeah, coming on into the building. That's good. Yeah, doing just a quick live talking about an undercard fight for this weekend's approaching Cruz versus Roach. It's the fourth quarter of the year, and boxing is still delivering some solid cards, solid matchups. And for these people out here who are proclaiming that the sport is dead or dying, that there is not any life to it, it just depends on where you are looking. Where you are looking. Lewis Hinton out there, I see you. Appreciate you, man. I wasn't trying to skip over your name. I am driving, so I kind of glance at the chat when I come to stops and everything. So, but appreciate you stopping in this morning as well. Hit the like button, you guys, if you want to support me. Now, Barthalemy has a style. You know, I look at him and fighters like Robeson Consequao, you know, they're similar. They've earned their merit in the sport being hard-nosed guys. They train, they get in shape. They can pull out upsets when people least expect it, or they can give someone that they're in there with a hard go, you know, and that's why you can't never just count guys like that out. They're blue-collar men. And in this era of boxing, blue-collar fighters have become champion. Blue-collar fighters have made upsets and have exposed guys who were potentially supposed to be better and surpass. So we've seen this, you know what I mean? Which is why, again, like I say, I hope that Frank has the right mentality going in there against this particular opponent, because he's been out a while, talking about Frank, and I would just like to see him, you know, I do believe that he took the Tank Davis fight a little too soon, and it's okay. You took that one, and it's time to come back, bounce back, whatever, you know, and get back on the horse. But some wrinkles of where you understand that you've had your setback and you've learned a lesson, or learned a few lessons, or have added some new wrinkles to what you're going to be doing going forward. As I said, Barthalemy may come into this fight looking to... Frank still has a name in the sport. He's just haven't been active, just like, you know, the rest of the PBC fighters. So if he hasn't been active, you know, out of sight, out of mind is, you know, what boxing, it goes with boxing. So, but he understands, being a veteran, what it would mean to be able to take a fighter like Frank Martin and squeeze out a win, you know? And I think that's exactly what he'll be looking to do. Who else we got out there? Jennifer Alvishers. Salute. That's a new name. Haven't seen that person before. Listen, as far as conditioning, I know that Martin should be strong. He should be, you know, because of moving up in weight and looking to hold fort. I just don't know what his game plan is going to be. That's why it makes it an intriguing fight, because you just don't know. I know what Barthalemy brings, but I don't know what Frank is going to be bringing going in. Nick Tyler is in there asking, do you think Davis is done fighting? Why are you asking me about Davis when I'm talking about the PBC card that's coming up this weekend, and I'm talking about Frank Martin and Rancis Bartholomew? Nick Taylor, why would you do that? Why are you mentioning that man's name? My live stream, I don't do clickbait, and I don't do live streams where I allow people to try to get me off center of what I'm doing, what my subject is. Though there's no title to my stream because I just went live because I'm on the move, I did explain when my opening monologue of what my intent was with this particular stream. So please show a little more respect. And if you have no interest in the PBC card that's coming up this weekend, or the fighters that are participating in that, then you might just want to sit back in the cut and just listen, or choose to tune out and to go a different direction. How about that? No, Stephen L., you don't have to pop them, because what I just explained, now if it gets beyond that, as my brother BFTB would say, feast, my brothers. But see, understand that I hold a certain amount of decorum. This is not a wayward channel here. STORMYBMAN is about the serious talk of boxing. No foolishness. And in fact, if you really want to check things out, you can look through my archives and see how much I've talked about that person whose name you mentioned, and that will let you know where he stands as far as my consideration in the sport of boxing. Now you're saying, oh, just dropped in, ain't about respect. I just came in. Listen, bro. I don't know how old you are, but there's a saying, check the temperature of the room. Huh? I've never seen you before in any of my lives. And STORMYBMAN has over 3,000 articles of content on his channel. 3,000. Some of your biggest channels don't have that, because I'm consistent. You understand? Consistent. Yeah. So, back to what I was saying. I would love to see Frank come in and do some good things. Frank has decent hand speed. We're not certain about the punching power, because at times when he's been fighting, he has been at a workman-like pace, but not trying to necessarily sit down and get people up out of there and things of that nature. But as he's getting older, I think Frank is, what, 30 plus now? I know that the last time I had checked him and his age, a couple years back, he was in his late 20s, I think 28 or something like that. But again, the young man has been off the scene, and he needs to get busy. Also, does he okay, Stephen L., you remember, like I said, as BFTB says, feast, my brothers. You understand? It's early. You might need a couple of bones to go on your plate. You know what I mean? These people, they try to come in under the auspices of like, oh, no, it's a lot of haters out there, bro. But I don't talk about that kind of stuff. But we know what it is. How else can STORMYBMAN be hosting live streams where there'd be over 100 and some people in there, but my likes, be like on the lower side because the likes is from the real supporters. The numbers just don't add up. So I know these things. Yeah. But Barthalemy, again, like I said, he'll be aggressive. He'll come after you. And Frank had better not show any least bit of resistance of you know, like taking a step back. You can turn a guy and keep him turning. You use your footwork, but don't give him the impression that he's bullying you or he's putting you on the back foot forcibly, because that will be something that he'll gauge as a measure of where your confidence level is and where your real objectivity happens to lie. That's something that you guys, when you watch this fight, please pay attention to that. One of the things I do not like is when fighters have a point of entering a fight where they have to make an impression, they have to make a statement or whatever, and then they start out that bell to that first round rings, and next thing you know, they're backing up and they're getting back close to the ropes and all of that. In the first round, what are you doing, bro? You got to establish yourself. You got to establish that you're there for business. Sometimes the other guy might meet you at that point of contention, but also somebody is going to say, hey, I don't want to start the whole fight like this. And it might take a couple of rounds for a person to convey that message. But I'll tell you one thing, someone is going to back down under those auspices, and you have to pay attention to that. It's very important. And Martin is going to have to get some aggression. I'm not saying he doesn't have it. I like to see him put it on display, that he's tired of playing and micking around. He wants to go out there and send messages to these guys because he belongs. You know, he's as good as any of those other fighters that don't have titles out there. And it's time for him to put it on display. You look at a guy like Lamont Roach Jr., and he's come up from a lower weight, and he come up from that lower weight, and next thing you know, he's surpassed because of his fight with Tank, and now he's got this consideration of having the Cruz fight. That could have easily been someone like Frank Martin if Frank had maintained and became, you know, bounced back after the Tank Davis defeat and come back. But he's been well beyond that. Can somebody look up when his fight with Tank was? Because I'm driving and I can't switch off of the live to go roaming through the phone to try to figure that out. BVO, salute to you. I see you out there. Yeah. But I would like to know how long it's been since Tank and Frank Martin fought. If somebody could look that up for me. Or, you know, Chicago has had over 18 inches of snow over the past 3 days, man. We haven't had this much snow in years. It's been a few years. We can get it. It seems to happen all at one time, and then we'll go through a clearance where we don't have snow. Thank goodness the city salt trucks have been out taking care of the streets and everything, at least during the point of where I commute. I can see what they've done. I know there may be certain areas and sections of the city where they didn't get out like they may should or whatever, but you can blame those people that live in those communities for the lack of service. Because I'm gonna tell you something, quiet mouths don't get fed. And we're not talking about gunshots and all of that kind of foolishness. We're talking about the political spectrum of when you're on your aldermen and you're on people who just think they're privileged to be sitting in a position and hold an office of responsibility. You hold those people responsible, and you vote their behinds out of office when they don't take care of your community properly. That's what you do with that, huh? Instead of closing down stores and everything out of your own neighborhoods, such foolishness. We see it. It's been all on the news. People around the country can see that. Ignorance. Yeah. But I'm appreciative of the fact that at least where I commute, they've taken care of the route. So my little vehicle, when you get too much slow out here, I'll be sliding around like I've gone ice skating or something. Okay, we got Rick the Olmec. He says June 15th, 2024. Salute, Stormy. Hey, I appreciate that. So that's when he fought Tank, right? All right, so this is 2025 and it's December. So that's quite a long time that he's been out of the ring. He should have had at least 2 matches by now. At least 2. One should have been a comeback fight to help build his confidence back, restore himself. And the second should have been toward, putting himself back into contention. And see, this fight with Barthalemy is a fight of putting him back in contention without he having that confidence builder. So this is why I said, do you understand what I mean when I said that he has to go into this fight with some aggression and assertiveness, and to let Rancis know that, hey, this is not the guy that lost to Tank Davis. This is the guy pre-Tank Davis that people thought had potential to ascend toward title, and that's how he has to approach this. Smart but fierce but not reckless, and have intent. That's the way he needs to go about it. I'm passing the United Center now, guys, where Jordan's statue is out there. Yeah, the United Center. Some of y'all don't know nothing about that. Some of y'all grew up on LeBron, and so y'all like LeBron, the dude that done played 45 years in the league, trying to win those numbers and everything. Man, listen, imagine if Jordan played 45 years. Y'all just know, man, really? Man, get out of here. Yeah. Stephen L says, PBC fault. Listen, man, no, I'm going to tell you something, Stephen L. He could break the damn PBC contract. It'll probably mean that he'll have to sit out for the same amount of time, that he been sitting out under contract. See, this is what people got. Listen, if it ain't working right, you got to get up and shake the dust off your sandals, man, and keep it moving. Because that's what it's been. They be, all them guys under PBC, they loyal. Oh, shout out to Al Heyman. Where the fuck is Al Heyman? Ain't nobody even seen the dude. You know what I mean? Break your contract, get up out of there, become independent, or go sign up with somebody else that's going to be a voice for you, that's going to actively be out there. You know what I'm saying? These guys, Al, listen, where is Al? Where is he? Dude don't even show his face. I'm going to tell you something. We initially threw a lot of support behind Al and the PBC, right? Because we were saying like, well, that's a black man that's over there helping these fighters and this and that. And he may have helped some people out of circumstances that they may not have been as fortunate otherwise. But you have to be concerned about a dude that don't never show his face, don't never speak out, don't never have no representation. And I'm not saying he need to be out there like Don King or nothing like that. No. But in all these years, where's the most recent photograph, image of Al Haymon? Where is it? But these guys say his name like they're his foster kids or something. Nah, bro, nah. You can break that contract. You can get with somebody else. Just don't go over there with Matchroom and Hearn, because they don't mean you any well over there. They do not. Them folks over there, they all about their own. And when I say their own, we're talking about homegrown UK fighters. Yeah. Going back on the comments, Stephen L. says he should bring back a little bit of what he did in the Rivera fight. Absolutely. See, that's when he was, at his best, and people were really, because you remember Michelle Rivera, after losing to Frank Martin, because people knew Rivera a little bit more than they knew Martin at that time. Remember, guys? Because Rivera was calling himself Young Ali and all of that, because he cut his hair a certain kind of way and wore the white trunks with the black trim and all of that. But he looked more like a young Felix Trinidad than, if you ask me. That's what he really looked like. But anyway, yeah, when Martin fought Rivera, boy, he boxed Rivera very well. And Rivera was like mentally crashed out after that. Remember, guys? He was like upset that he had lost the fight because he thought it was going to be an easy task for himself. And then he also went into a thing where he had popped dirty. Yeah, ban substances, ban on the run. Yeah, you guys be out there putting that stuff in their body and everything, and as they say, everybody cheats, It's just don't get caught, right? And Rivera, where has he been? I know he's had a couple of fights because I looked him up, but he ain't on the circuit like he was before. So they've kind of like put him off to the side. But these guys, they be sitting back, man, and they be like, oh, I got to get a fight. I want to, to see what my people work out for me. No, you got to get proactive, man. There was a fight, I think his name was Buck Smith. Buck Smith in the 90s, man, and late 80s, early 90s, man. Buck he was a journeyman fighter, but he was a good fighter. He used to go fight people in their backyard, literally, and drove his car all across America. They had an expose on ESPN about him, Buck Smith. He would drive across from New York to LA fighting in fights. And a lot of fights he won, even on the other person's territory, backyard, or whatever. And see, you got guys out there today, they don't have that same type of ambition. They don't want to do that. And Buck Smith, you guys, he didn't have a major promoter and all of that. No Al Haymon for him, That's what you got to do sometimes. Get out there and get it going, Yeah. J Bean out there, salute. He says Rivera tested positive. Yeah, that's what I said, Stephen L said, yeah, Rivera told me, Andrew, he didn't like that Ali look. Man, that dude looked like Felix Trinidad, illegitimate son, bro. Felix was out there in one of them cities and met one of them Puerto Rican honeys out there. And next thing you know, we got Rivera. Yup. Tell me that dude don't look like Felix Trinidad, Rick the One says he whooped Rivera's feet. Stephen L. says, in this day, what African-American boxer have popped? Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah, there you go. Rick the Almond said, he says, I read about him. He would fight anybody. Yeah, Buck Smith, that's what I'm talking about, man. You see, I tell people all the time, it's one of my adages. I think I'm going to put it on one of my shirts. Watch the sport of boxing. Watch boxing. I say it all the time, bro. Because if you watch the sport, then you learn, like, what really is happening, what the nuances are, what, you'll be able to assess who's really trying to do something, who's faking it, and who is avoiding it. So you get guys out here who will, they'll ride the wave of someone having success and everything. And then when that person begins to show some vulnerability and everything, then it's like, oh, well, they hop off the boat, huh? Or hop off the shaft, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, but others, if you're sticking to the grind and understanding what's happening in the sport, you could go back and make a reference. Like, nobody on my channel has ever heard me mention Buck Smith, but I just mentioned him because guess what? I used to watch the boxing events and shows as I had access. There has been stuff I didn't see because there was time when I didn't have cable and didn't have the access. But see, now with so much access, there's no excuse for people not to fortify their knowledge of the sport. But they're so ignorant and lame, they're too lazy to do the research. And research in this instance is looking up someone's name, trying to Google up if their fights and films of their fights are available, and you go and watch them and learn about them. And then you be able to say, oh, wow, this guy was, if he was fighting today, XYZ. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, man. Julie Busulin, what's happening? Stephen L. says, Buck Smith is an American professional boxer in the welterweight division. Although Smith has never been considered more than a journeyman fighter, he is one of boxing's all-time knockout kings with 120 KOs. Hey, man, I'm telling you guys, you see, Stephen L. just went and looked him up. And now you know something. You know something that some of these major channels don't know right now, Stephen L. How about that? How about you go into one of their chats one day while they talking so much ish about Devin Haney and everything and say, hey, what about Buck Smith, huh? And see what they say and how they respond to you. Who is that? Yeah, Stephen L., you know I ain't lying, right? And for those that have been sneak watching STORMYBMAN from the bushes, huh? That the dogs pee in when you take them out for their walk, huh? Yeah, they know now because I just said something about it, huh? That's what that is. If you don't knock it off, man, I like Bill Haney, man. Bill be holding people to the stone, man, holding their feet to the fire. I love it. I love it, man. I saw him, he was on with that idiot Radio Raccoon and Sean Shittail, and Bill was ripping into them. And they were trying to hold forth by, trying to talk back at him and with him and joking with him and everything. But man, you guys are like culture vultures. You like to eat off the carcass of fighters, huh? You don't know nothing, but you out there and you trying to get that access and everything just for views and just to say that you've been able to be there and everything, but you don't know how to even hold decorum with Bill. And if you notice, when Bill asked them about certain things that they would say or whatever, and he heard certain things that they try to be diplomatic about, oh, well, we were just trying to, oh, and I said that because of, no, you see, because, listen, I've always acknowledged what Bill has done for his son and what he's doing together with his son for the sport of boxing. These guys can't even take their hat off to him for that. They don't want to do that. You know why? Because that's black success. And guess what ain't gonna be promoted, huh? Black success. Fuck Al Heyman. Fuck him. Who is that? Huh? Fuck him. Yeah, Stephen L. Raccoon was doing what raccoons do, huh? Running off into the shadows and shit. What a pathetic person, man. What a pathetic person. You know, when Deontay Wilder yelled in his face a few years ago, he would never tell anybody, but he wanted to go change his underwear right there. But he stood there and took it because he realized it was going to garner him a lot of views. And all I could hear in the real backdrop was people saying, do you smell something? Do you smell something? Yeah, he shit himself, huh? Because the bronze bomber told him exactly right. They your people too, coon. Shit. What do you mean, your people? If you don't get the hell out of Dodge, man. Where they find these dudes? Because they'll give them jobs in Ring Magazine and put them on DAZN and everything. So they always in your face. You know what that's like, guys? That's like when something bad happened in a neighborhood, right? And the news is there to cover the story. They always find the worst black person to put on camera to ask them what happened, huh? And it's like, you could be just coming home from work and have on your shirt and tie, and you out there, and you could just be, you know, they say, sir, could you, and you say, oh yeah, this is what I understand happened. No, they don't want you. They don't want you. They want to grab that dude over there with the do-rag on his head, huh? And he you know, he was smoking on them herbs and everything. And they ask him, you know, he got tattoos on his face, huh? One Love on the side of his cheek. And then they want to ask him what happened. Hey, what happened? Yo, man, you know what I'm saying? Man, they was like, man, this was good. And then when they find the female, same thing, huh? Female is like, look at this guy. He riding right behind me, man. Get the hell, dude. Go around me, man. What the hell? Shit. Anyway, they find a girl, and she got a bonnet on and everything, huh? Yeah, that's what they do. Them the kind of people they try to find, and they want to interview them. And she got a baby on her hip. Yeah, they was out there, huh? And the po-po came, and yeah, they was shooting. Yeah, the ones with shooting was your kids, huh? Shit. That's what that is. You can't make this shit up, bro. You can't make it up. And fuzzy slippers, pajama pants. Yeah, you right. That's it right there. How many times have we seen that stereotype? How many times? Wow. Well, guys, I have made it to my destination. I'm gonna get ready to get on up out of here. You know, I hope everybody have a wonderful day. I got a premiere at 8 o'clock. Check that premiere out, man. You know, there'll be more premieres for the rest of the week. Salute to you, Junior Truth. Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys coming in there. What's happening, man? I was driving, Junior, and I hadn't looked at the screen and saw that you had popped in there. You ain't got to never worry about that misrepresentation coming from the likes of me. The Stormy B Man gonna always keep it on the level. Huh? I say things that make people uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes it even make them mad. But guess what? You'll get over it. Huh? Just like I get over it. You know what I mean? Shout out to the mighty LDBC. I'm out of here, guys. Peace.